Boom! We are live, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be diving into Bitcoin's price, some of the future outlooks, as we've just stubbed up at around 97.50. We're also going to take a quick look at Litecoin and Ethereum because you guys have been asking. And with that in mind, let's basically just dive right in. Boom! Nice. So here we have Bitcoin on the weekly right now, looking fantastic. It's actually, the other day on the weekly chart, for those of you that were here with us, we saw this big absorption candle come in, basically a tweezers right off the bear claw too. At that moment, we had the cloud up at around 12,600 for the high. But if you look very closely, we're not that far away from breaking out of the cloud on the weekly right now. That would actually put us around $10,200. Now, I believe we're going to break out at this point. We're going to see a fair amount of resistance from here. Probably a slight retracement. What did we see from here to here? Let's measure it out. From around 9,700. It was about a 27 or about a 20% retracement. This is actually a really nice little drop in price down in the $7,300 area on the last move. I suspect we'll have something like that again, and then we really start to enter no man's land. There's a lot of conjecture about what happens here. So, like any good analysis, you're always looking for upsides and downsides. Now, Bitcoin has always fallen under the idea that this is an asymmetrical bet. It could be worth nothing, or it could be worth millions. So it was always worth taking. Now, how much of that bet you take depends on how much you're willing to risk and lose. This is one of the reasons why we always try to exemplify strategy with non-emotional behavior in the trading world, well, actually everywhere in life, because you come up with a much clearer picture. So let's just for fun, grab the Fibonacci retracement tool, drag her from the top of the candle down to the bottom where we are now. This 0.5 area and then the 0.6 area are actually going to become really important areas to keep an eye on. So right now at the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement level, as well as the 0.618, we could see these are likely where the retracements are going to take place for those 10 to 20% re-add-ons. Now, I added a little bit around 6,000 here before, just because everything was bullish. Now, I've got a little bit extra fiat I could put into this, but I don't necessarily want to take on the extra risk. I've been in a business building phase long before I ever saw Bitcoin show up. And everybody I know that has massive amounts of wealth did it by creating a product and a service that's valuable for other people. So we continue to do that. That's what the Arcane Bear is. We're working on some other projects too. Equity level investments in startup companies. These have always been one of the routes to wealth, and not just acquiring it, but actually creating it. So I do use most of my extra assets to actually build business. I mean, and here's the other thing too. I've learned how to become very frugal in, like, this t-shirt that I'm wearing here. This was a $2.05 t-shirt. I'm not going out of my way to spend money on stupid stuff, right? Like, I own my own assets all outright, my own property, multiple acres, my own vehicles. And I think that that's a good place to be because everything is in the upside for me. I have no liabilities other than my health. And so this is the thing I've been working on the most lately, is making sure that my mental, physical, and emotional health is like, boom, super tight. So anyways, what I wanted to point out here, and I think it's important, is that the cloud is going to be broken at around $10,190. Once you break above the cloud, then you're in the clouds. So we are entering into a potential no man's land. Right. So, for instance, if we wanted to, and this is always good to do for multiple reasons, let's take an Elliott wave count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potentially, and this would put us up near around $12,000 to $13,000. So this is where we think we're going to go. What happens up there? Who knows? With the Fibonacci tool, we could see that there's a potential for a dead cat bounce. Although I'm not going to bet against Bitcoin. I've always decided that was the bad idea, was to bet against Bitcoin. The 618 line here could prove heavier for resistance and a potential retracement. Now, how much? Who knows? It really depends on what some of the big boys do. They know that they can play this game for even equally as high as returns on the downside versus the upside. So I do suspect that we will see that. Now, when does that take place? I'm not entirely sure. More importantly, though, again, the reason why I chart Bitcoin isn't because I'm actively trading it. It's because there are great returns to be found in the other digital asset ecosystem when Bitcoin makes even a slight retracement. So let's, for fun here, I said I wanted to look at Litecoin and Bitcoin. Let's actually do that. We're going to go to a Bitcoin on the daily chart right now, and we're going to actually look at that previous level of retracement that we had seen building up in the past. And then we're also going to look at Ethereum as well to kind of prove the conjecture state of where we want it to go. So I'm going to open up Ethereum here on this other chart. Okay, so here's the Bitcoin 15-minute. No, sorry, Bitcoin on the daily, and then we're going to look at Ethereum on the daily as well. Okay, that's fine. Actually, we can do it like this. Okay, so Bitcoin on the daily and Ethereum on the daily as well. Okay, so here's Ethereum's price versus Bitcoin's price, and then here's Bitcoin as well. Actually, let's go into the the daily will give us enough perspective. So here we are at the top. Here we are at one of the tops of Bitcoin's price, and then see the daily, see how we hit a top at around 81.98, and then right from there on the exact same moment as Bitcoin turned down, we saw this big spike in Ethereum's price. This is due to Bitcoin's volatility. This was a 30% gain in Ethereum versus a 15 to 17% loss in Bitcoin's price. So what I've started to do is see that Ethereum, Litecoin, and the rest basically act as, let's call them leveraged bets against Bitcoin with the inability to get wrecked. Because there are fundamentals to things like Ethereum or Litecoin, I believe that this is a much better way to trade than say go short or go long on Bitcoin in leverage, because you can actually lose all of your Bitcoin doing that, and it's very dangerous if you don't know how to exit or close or play with stop losses. Chances are you're just going to get wrecked. So let's take an equally definitive pattern, and here, as we see the previous top in Bitcoin, we saw a bottom come out in Litecoin, and then right as that bottom took place, Bitcoin started to consolidate and Litecoin jumped up. So here you see only a 12 to 13% downside for Bitcoin, but a 50% upside for Litecoin. Again, so here in the opposites of Bitcoin's price momentum, we in the private bear den have been taking positions in the calls that come out versus Bitcoin's price momentum. So the same thing is going to happen again. As Bitcoin finds its top, its stability, it starts to consolidate a little, it's very likely that we're going to see Litecoin make another big bounce. Again, so here we saw Litecoin. Again, this is why I don't suggest hodling anything other than Bitcoin. Here's a 25% downwards retracement of Litecoin in 10 days. That means in the last 10 days, because of Bitcoin's momentum, you've lost 25% of the value in Litecoin. And so this is why I think learning how to swing trade is probably one of the most effective ways to understand this market, because this is a huge, huge opportunity for basically arbitrage, right? And not to get wrecked in a leverage position. So we're seeing 15% downside, 30 to 50% upside. And then here we measure out that same function. Here's the previous bottom right at the top of Litecoin. And that's from Bitcoin at 76.40 to where we are now. That's a 28% retracement, right? So over that same period of time, Litecoin has lost pretty much 20%. So again, I think the only way to play this market intelligently is to understand that we're only interested in acquiring more Bitcoin. The US dollar is totally irrelevant to me. I don't care what my Bitcoin portfolio is at in US dollar terms, only in Satoshi terms. Because even if Bitcoin goes down, I'm not going to go into true USD. I'm just going to use more fiat. If we see a big retracement in Bitcoin, I'm just going to use more fiat. I'm not going to try to leverage out into true USD to hedge Bitcoin. It doesn't make any sense for me. The only thing that I would find culpable of even a closely related hedge would be to go into Litecoin or Raven or something like this, which we've mentioned in our long-term investment thesis, that there is the possibility for large-scale breakouts versus get Bitcoin's price as long as you know when to enter and when to exit. I mean, here we are. Like, let's use this, right? Here we actually saw the long call come out for our Eagle Crossing. Very excited. Those come out to the private Bear Den members. Not financial advice, but just stuff to pay attention to. And then you saw a 30% gain in 6 days, followed by a 30% loss in 10 days. If you held Litecoin, you lost everything in terms of Bitcoin, right? There was no gain here. This is basically everything that you got was wiped out in a very short period of time. So now what we do is we look for this leverage opportunity where we might be able to see a 20 to 30% increase in Litecoin's price versus Bitcoin as Bitcoin comes down to test those lows. But again, on this single chart, if we're looking out for where Bitcoin's headed, I'm not going to be taking any type of exit plan here until I see a lot more of a retracement value. Now, there are a lot of indicators that say we're kind of topping out, right? Volume has actually been declining since the previous high at around $7,600, both in sale and buy, right? So we have a bearish indicator starting to take place. Although on the weekly, we actually see what's really interesting here, and this is always an important cross, is your 200 and 314-day moving averages. Oh, sorry, on the daily. On the weekly, I believe we have already... yeah, so on the weekly, this is the potential downside, is around 3,900. Now, that could actually come in very quickly. The whole idea behind futures and leverage contracts is people know that they can make equally as much money going down as they can going up. So for instance, let's use Bitcoin's previous high as an example for the thesis that we're talking about. We have the 11th of December. So we're going to open up another chart again. We're going to double down. And let's use Cardano for this particular instance, because Cardano is one of the other ones that everyone has been talking about. Again, we don't trade it unless we know what Bitcoin's doing. So I'm going to open up Cardano here, and we're going to look at it on a day-to-day basis from the high of Bitcoin at 20,000 to the low of where we are now. Okay, I opened up both there. That was not what I wanted to do. Okay, so what is this? Just one at a time, please. Yes, okay. So if we take Cardano and we go to the daily, let's go to the previous high. Okay, so I remember when we were buying Cardano way back down here, pretty much where we're sitting at today. Let's look at the inverse of these two ideas, right? From the low of Cardano, we see that almost the exact high of Bitcoin on this date, right? Here's the low of Cardano, there's the exact high of Bitcoin. And as soon as Bitcoin started to turn around, look at the massive price explosion in Cardano down to the $11,000 drop. So for Bitcoin, this represented a 60% retracement, but for Cardano, it represented an 800% move upwards. And that's what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Understanding the arbitrage opportunities that are here. I'm going to leave it at that. That is the entire thesis that we're working on for the private Bear Den members. All the tokens that we're looking for that. If you're interested, you can sign up to the private Bear Den, but please only do that if you're brave and know what this game is about. If you're kind of pussyfooting around this ecosystem, this group is not for you. Although if you're new to the space and you just want to learn everything, that's where the free community really takes advantage. Both of those links are for you down below. If you think we make shitty content, remember to give us those thumbs down. If you like what we do, give us a thumbs up. If you're new to the Bear family, please subscribe, leave a comment, and more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, share these videos with your families and friends. Well, because, you know, Arcane Bear wants more views, but also more importantly, I think that understanding an educated, well thought out thesis is better than just FOMO. And that's what I want to make sure people understand here, is that I'm here for the long run. Anyone that's here for the long run and that's been able to acquire wealth before Bitcoin showed up knows that, yes, having an asset and a portfolio will increase your wealth, but also owning businesses, using your skill sets. Like, we've been doing model photo shoots recently, and we're actually working on probably going to do a few more, but I've been really excited about some of the shots that we get to do. Like, my spare time, we'll end off with this. My spare time photo shoots are beautiful. I have quite a great time doing shots. Anyways, these are just my practice photo shoots for models. I like doing it in the background. It's a hobby. It can actually be very lucrative as well. But that's not the point. But the point here is that you need to use all of your skill sets, all of your energy, all of your time to basically learn how to invest into your health, your well-being, grow your portfolio, grow your equity investments in different companies, and be patient, because this should be a 30 to 40 year outlook. And if you can do that, you've won the game. This is T with the Arcane Bear. Thank you guys all for joining us. I'm going to leave you off with our cool exit and blah.